So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how you can date women while still living at home with your parents. And I wanted to make this video because I know this is actually something that, quite frankly, bothers a lot of men, especially men in their early 20s, mid 20s, and even men in their late 20s, because you probably watched a lot of dating content, red pill content, talking about how you have to be high value, you need to be at least earning 6 figures, you need to have all these resources, you got to be living in a nice penthouse luxury apartment, you have to be driving this nice car and wear all these type of clothes and stuff like that, because that's what's going to get you women. And here's the thing, like, all that stuff is BS, bro. All that stuff is BS. And here's how I know that, because from my own personal experience, I was dating the most volume of women in my life when I was in my early 20s living at home with my parents. This whole, like, you have to be living in this nice apartment, you have to be driving this car, you have to be making this amount of money, that's not going to get you women. Like, those things alone aren't going to get you the women that are actually into you. They're actually going to be attracted to you. They're actually going to want to hang out with you, spend time with you, actually be interested in you beyond those things, right? And I want to make this video because I know this bothers a lot of guys. Like, you may be watching this right now, maybe you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, or even your early 30s, and you want to date, but you feel like your living situation is stopping you from being able to do that. It's almost like you are the kid that is stuck inside, looking through the window, seeing everybody else play outside, but you're stuck inside, right? You feel like you can't date women probably. You feel like until you get your own apartment, you get your own house, dating is off limits for you. And especially if you are younger, you're wasting your youth away thinking this way. Now, before I get into the video and I break down exactly like how you can actually start dating women while living at home, because I'm gonna be giving you just strategies that I've used for my own personal life. I'm actually going to read a comment here in a second from one of my Inbound Attraction Blueprint clients who actually lives at home with his parents. He's young, he's 22, and he actually jumped into the program because he was like worried about his living situation stopping him from dating women. And he saw like how I've been able to help other men who live at home still attract women to them. And that's what made him jump into the program. And in less than a month, he's already seeing amazing results. And I'll show that here in a second. But just one thing I want you to understand is that this mindset, although like it's warranted for you to feel this way, I understand you're probably gonna feel a little bit insecure, feel low confident a little bit, like lack a little bit of confidence. But a lot of that is gonna be based on the type of content that you've consumed of all these guys that say you have to have all this material success and stuff like that. But especially if you are younger, you're wasting your youth away, not putting yourself out there dating and navigating these logistical issues. Because that's all that they really are, is that they are logistical issues and they're not a death sentence. Because here's the thing, what about the guys that have the luxury apartments, that make 6 figures, that drive the nice car, that have all the material success that a lot of these dating coaches will tell you that you need, which really that's just going to attract gold diggers and girls that are just going to use you, really. But what about all those guys that have all those things, but they're not getting any women? We've heard of guys that barely have 2 pennies to rub together and they're attracting more women than the dudes that are making a lot of money. So this is definitely possible, man. Now, this isn't an excuse for you to not try to get out of your current living situation, because it's going to be a lot easier when you have your own place, especially when you have your own place, you're paying your own bills, you're going to learn a lot about manhood and what it's like to be self-sufficient. So don't take this video as like a loophole to be lazy, to be like, well, Jordan says that there's ways to still date women while still living at home, so I'm not going to have any urgency to move out and get my own spot. No, still have urgency, still do what you need to do to move out. Make sure you're working, even if you have to work multiple jobs, make sure you're stacking money, pay off credit card debt, whatever you need to do to make it easy for you to move out and have your own spot, still do that. But at the same point, you can still have a dating life while you're doing that. And that's what I'm gonna be talking about in this video. Now, before we hop into the video and I give you my exact strategies and my overall mindset and insights based on my experience of dating women and dating a lot of women, dating attractive women, even in my early 20s, still living at home, I wanna show you why this has been possible for men that I've worked with. So I wanna give a big shout out to my Inbound Attraction Blueprint client, Jay. I'm gonna keep his name and everything private and confidential, but this is what he said in the private Discord community. So he said, shortly after joining IB, I've started seeing one girl consistently every week. Only been in the group for a few weeks. So talking about he's only been in IB for a few weeks, not even a month. He said, checks all my boxes for personality type, and the logistics work out great. Despite me currently living at home, she invited me to her place for the second date. Huge part of the reason that happened is the foundation that IB has given me so far in improving every area of my game. So this goes to show you, bro, that like, even if you're living at home, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to attract women that are into you, and you know how to present yourself in a way where even if you're living at home, it doesn't make you look lower value, it doesn't make you look less than, but if you know how to actually present your living situation to a woman that's actually feeling you, but the way you carry yourself, the way that you interact with women doesn't come off like the typical person that you would think think about if they're living at home, because that's another thing. Like when people think about someone living at home with their parents, you think they're lazy, out of shape, playing video games all day, watching dirty websites, all these things, right? So if you know how to really present all this to women that you're seeing, it's not going to be an issue, right? So I'm going to be breaking down exactly how you can do this step by step based on what I've done in my own personal life and what I've helped clients achieve as well. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. So point number one, man, is that you need to have attractive, valuable traits that are going to allow women to easily overlook your living situation. So I'm just going to be honest, like I know the women that I was attracted to, and even the women I attract to this day, I know the first thing that stands out to them about me is going to be my looks, my physical appeal, my sex appeal. And that's the thing, bro. The more attractive you are to a woman, the less these logistical issues will matter, at least in the short term. So again, you still should be trying to get your own place. You should still be making sure you're working, you're stacking your paper, you're getting money, you have a plan. But bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. The more attractive you are to a woman, the more physical and sexual attraction she has for you, the less these things matter. And I wish I knew this sooner. That's why I'm making this video, because this stuff used to mess with me too, bro. I used to feel insecure about my past living situation because of the content I was consuming. I felt less than, I felt like I wasn't shit. I didn't want to be like just that good looking guy that didn't have anything else going for him, which you don't want to be that way. But again, like I allowed a lot of this insecurity myself to stop me from dating for a while or dating with confidence, right? That's why I'm making this video. So it's going to help you a lot the more attractive you are, because women are going to be feeling all these different emotions. They're going to be obviously attracted to you. They may be sexually attracted to you. The vibe and chemistry are there. And because women don't come across men that are that attracted to them to the point where you got her feeling butterflies, she's feeling nervous a little bit, she's trying to qualify herself to you, she's trying to figure out like, is she good enough for you? You know what I mean? And just having her emotions override all that logic, the more you can be that man, the easier it's going to be for women to overlook your living situation. But also you want to make sure that you're dialing everything else in your life that is in your control, like your looks, your physique, your fashion, your style, your grooming, your sex appeal. Like the more attractive you are, the easier it is going to be to navigate this situation, especially if you can present and package your living situation up in a way where it doesn't lower your value, it actually can even enhance your value in the eyes of the woman. Also, the biggest thing that's going to help you too is that you carry yourself as somebody that isn't in that typical stereotype, like I was saying earlier, where like when people think of more specifically men in their 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, even in their early 30s, they really look at these guys as lazy, unambitious, undriven, out of shape, all of these things, right? But if you can display that you are the exact opposite of that stereotype, and you can tell that, like the woman can tell rather, as she's talking to you, she's looking at you, you still come off like a man that has a mission, that has drive, that has ambition, that has a purpose, that has a plan. If you are a young, attractive dude with a plan, women aren't going to trip out that much. They're not going to really trip out about it that much, especially if you guys are vibing too and there's natural chemistry there. They're not going to really trip out that much. Now, the older you are, the more you're going to come across women who like maybe checking for your living situation as far as like just keeping that in their mind. But bro, there's women that are in anywhere from the early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, even early 30s that still live at home. And a lot of people understand that times are getting tough out here financially. Now, my mindset is try to make as much money as you can to offset how life is, basically like how life is going. But that's just my mentality. I know it's probably different than a lot of people's, but women are going to be more understanding about that. Like a lot of women have roommates and stuff, so they know like financially it definitely is difficult for a lot of people. But if you just come off like more confident, you actually are doing shit in your life, like you actually have a job, like you have passions, you have hobbies, like you can even teach women a thing or two, you can give them some valuable insight that not many people know about. And just overall, the way you carry yourself and present yourself, women will overlook your living situation. Because the thing is, for me, like I've been involved in online business for years now, like since 2019. And I would date women that were like in marketing, that were in sales. So I was able to have conversations about marketing and sales with them, which showed them like, okay, I'm not just a pretty face to them, but I could actually have a conversation. I'm actually intelligent. I can talk about things. I can teach them things. And me being able to showcase those traits show drive, ambition, intent, intelligence. So the more you can showcase these valuable traits physically, mentally, emotionally with women, like she finds you physically attractive, sexually attractive, which a lot of that will also come down to chemistry, vibe. You can have a good conversation with her, like she enjoys talking to you, she enjoys your company, but you actually have things in motion for you, like whether that's you leveling up in your career, starting a business, a side hustle, you have hobbies, you have interests. Like it shows that you are in motion in your life, you're active in your life. Bro, women are going to overlook that. And before we move on to the next point, like the more, like I think about as a man, you want to be like an MMA fighter. Like the more disciplines you know, but also the better you are at those disciplines, and just the more well-rounded your game is as an MMA fighter, or like I also like basketball, like the more of an all-around player you are, the more like stats you have maxed out in your life, the more attributes you have in your life. So for example, like if you're a good-looking dude, you're in shape, dressed, groomed, you smell good, but you can also have a conversation. You're also intelligent. You're also charismatic. You also have passions and hobbies that you have going on. You have a business maybe that you're starting, your side hustle, or there's new things that you're learning about your job, your craft, your hobbies, your passions, whatever, and you can display those things. You can showcase all those things to a woman. Like the more all around you are as a man holistically, again, the more she's going to overlook a shortcoming or a current living situation like you living with your parents, right? Just the more holistically attractive you are, the more women will overlook that, because a man like that is so hard to find. It's so hard to replicate that your living situation, especially when like you guys are just meeting each other. You guys aren't dating, you guys aren't boyfriend and girlfriend, you guys aren't about to get married. So really your living situation really shouldn't matter to her that much. Anyways, like it's not really affecting her. Like the more traits that you stack up and you max out in your life right now, as you're transitioning to getting your own place, the more they're gonna overlook that. Moving on to the next point, man, is that you only wanna deal with high interest women. And the reason why I say that is because I've noticed that the women that I was dating while I was living at home with my parents, like these were the women that I knew that they had the most interest and attraction to me. These were women that I was meeting on dating apps or social media primarily, and they were messaging me first. They were sliding into my DMs, talking about how handsome I was, how cute I was, making themselves available to me, showcasing genuine interest into getting to know me, constantly meeting up for the date, never flaking. Just women that were showcasing high interest and attraction for me. These women were always like the coolest about my living situation. They understood, but also like they wanted to understand because they were attracted to me, if that makes sense. They didn't care. Actually, I was dating a girl in my early 20s and she never came to my place because I didn't have my own place. I would always have to go to hers, which we'll talk about that later as far as going to a woman's place. But I remember that she told me something that like, you know, it meant a lot at the time, but she was like, you remind me so much of my dad, because she actually had a strong relationship with her father. Her father is masculine. He's very successful. He has a successful business, if not multiple successful businesses. And she was like, yeah, like you remind me a lot of my dad. And I witnessed him going from zero to everything that he has. And I see like that drive and that ambition in you. You really do remind me of my dad. So women really respect that drive and that ambition, even if you don't have everything together at the moment. If you can display that, if you can showcase that, that's going to go a long way with women. Because also I would talk about my business that I had at that time when I was dating this girl. She would even be like in the car with me when we were about to go to a date, like, oh, I have to finish up closing this deal with the client and then we'll drive to this place and go get food. Like she was around me when I was building my business up. We would talk about business. I would share what I had going on with my business, which again, it shows, okay, Jordan's in motion. He's driven. He's ambitious. He has things going for himself. Probably sound like a broken record, but you want to have that drive and ambition and a plan. But women that had the highest interest, the highest attraction for me were always the women that were the most cool about my living situation, because they were really into me and they didn't really care. They weren't going to stop a living situation that really doesn't affect them at all. They weren't going to let that stop them from spending time with me, with being with me, pursuing relationships with me, being intimate with me, because all those things trumped my living situation. And because to them, like I was a rare dude, I was a holistically attractive man to these women, and they knew it was hard to replace me, because these were even, see, here's the thing, these were women who can get the most options, and they were trying to lock me down. They were trying to pursue relationships with me, and they never been to my place because I didn't have one. Keep all this in mind, that like living at home isn't a death sentence if you are becoming the most attractive version of yourself and you have a plan in motion and you're doing things, but also focus on dealing with women that have high interest and have high attraction for you, because these are going to be the women that will be more so cool with you coming to their place, or maybe you guys getting a hotel, or maybe like if you have actual privacy at your parents' spot and maybe you live down in the basement, or maybe you live on the other side of the house, like basically like they would be cool with you having women come over, assuming that the woman would be cool coming over, which a lot of women are actually cool about that stuff. Are there going to be some women who aren't? Yeah. Are there going to be some women who aren't cool about your living situation? Yeah. But those women, like I never really came across that many women like that. If my living situation was an issue, it wasn't an issue in terms of the woman not being attracted to me. It was like more so of an issue, okay, like where are we going to make things happen? That was more so the issue. Not, oh, I'm not attracted to you because you live at your parents' house. Like that was never a thing. But the high interest, high attraction women are going to be a lot easier to deal with. They're going to be the most understandable. They're going to be the ones that are going to be willing to have you come over, or you guys get a hotel, or even come over to your parents' spot if they're cool with that, if you want to do that. So I would focus more on dealing with high interest and high attraction women, because the women that are going to have mid to low interest in you, they're more so probably going to leverage your living situation as a reason to maybe not really deal with you like that, or to flake on you. Mid to low interest women are probably just going to use your living situation as a logical reason to maybe not do certain things with you, or maybe not go on another date with you, or whatever. But it's really just a smoke screen for their mid to low interest in you. And we've all experienced this, right? I've had women that had mid to low interest in me, which is perfectly fine, because I can attract enough high interest and high attraction women to me that I don't even notice the mid to low interest women, which that's really the key. Like, you're going to deal with bullshit with women, no matter how good looking you are, how tall you are, how much money you make, how much status you have. Like, no man on the planet is exempt from bullshit with women. It's just that you want to be able to attract so many women to you that are actually feeling you and have high interest and attraction for you, that you're still in a state of abundance, even if you are quote unquote losing out on women, which you're not losing out on them, they're losing out on you. And you're not losing, you're just making more room for the women who really want to be around you and who qualify for you. Now, I know guys are going to be wondering, okay, but Jordan, like, how did you make this stuff happen? Like, how did you have the conversation? How did you present the fact that you live at home with your parents in a way where you don't come off like you're low value or lazy or unambitious? Like, how did you package it up? How did you deliver it in a way where they still found you attractive, where your value in their eyes didn't lower, but maybe actually it rose in their eyes? So I would say this, the biggest common factor I've noticed with women where I basically went to their place. A lot of times I went to their place. Now, before I get into that, you have to be very careful doing this, because there are women that will have ex-boyfriends that you may not know about. They could pull up to the spot and you don't know it, and that can put you in a compromising situation, and I don't want that to happen to you. So you need to be very careful with that, bro. And like, no bullshit, you need to be very careful with that. I remember I was seeing a girl, I was going to her place, and probably after a few months of seeing her, she was talking about like, oh yeah, like I had this crazy ex and he would pull up to the house, and I'm like, yo, what? You got to be careful doing that, man. You got to be careful doing that, going to other women's houses. Like, I know sometimes you may not have a choice, but you got to be very careful, bro. Maybe one of the things that you can do, and you can do this in a more joking manner so it doesn't come off too serious or anything, but let's say if you and a woman decide to go back to her place, you guys are gonna do like a movie night or whatever, what I would suggest that you do is, in a joking way, you can just bring up and say something like, I'm down to come over, but I just want to make sure you don't have like any crazy boyfriends that are gonna be popping out in the bushes and stuff like that I have to worry about. Something like that. And then that's when she can kind of reveal like, oh no, you don't have to worry about it. Like, they don't know where I live, and oh no, like they won't be able to find us or whatever. But even then, it's like they can tell you that, but you just never know the truth. But just be careful. That's all I'm saying. But the thing that I've noticed the most with women that where it worked to where I was able to go to their spot was that, number one, like, these were women that were already highly attracted to me. They had high interest in me. That was the first thing. The second thing is that there was some form of a nurturing process that happened before I went to their spot. So like, we spent like time together, like maybe we had a first date. Let's say we did a FaceTime call, and then we had a first date. And then depending on the woman, depending on the situation, maybe they pulled me back to their place. They pulled me back to their place without me saying anything, without even me telling them about my living situation. Or in most cases, after there was like a first date, after maybe a FaceTime call, and there was just a nurturing process there. Like we spent a little bit of time together. We've had dialogue. Typically, this would happen again when we met up on a first date. What would then happen is that the second date, we would plan for a movie night, or we would plan for something that typically had to do with being inside the house. Like on the first dates, I may talk about a movie. I may talk about a TV show that I'm hearing a lot of people are talking about on Netflix. And then after talking about that for a while, you can then propose a question like, yeah, like maybe we should check it out together. Or yeah, maybe we can have a movie night sometime and we can watch it together and we can eat our favorite snacks and not judge each other for stuff in our faces with our favorite candy. Quick story, I remember when I matched up with a girl on Hinge and we were on a FaceTime call. This is before we ever met in person. I remember she was asking me about martial arts because I had like probably a picture or a video clip of me doing martial arts. And she asked me what got me into martial arts. And I always tell women this, and I say it as a joke, but it's true. I'm like, yeah, like I want to be like the real life Batman out here. I just want to be able to defend myself, be able to fight, maybe be a vigilante from time to time. on the weekends. I'll say something like that just joking. And they'll be like, oh, I love Batman and I really need to go back and watch the movies and the trilogy and stuff like that. And then I'll be like, maybe we can have a movie night sometime. Like if we vibe and stuff like that, maybe we can have a movie night. Same thing like if women like Harry Potter, because I'm really into Harry Potter. If I'm talking about Harry Potter on a date with a girl, then I would then propose like, maybe we can have like a Harry Potter movie-thon sometime if you're down. And again, typically this will happen during the first date and we're already vibing. Like obviously we're both attracted to each other. There's mutual interest there. We'll already be like at least planting seeds of the idea of having a movie night or watching a specific TV show and keeping things chill for the second date or maybe the third date. But typically I've noticed that you're going to see a lot more success, at least in my experience. You're going to see a lot more success when there's been a nurturing process there, meaning like you guys have talked a little bit, like whether on FaceTime, really if you guys have gone on like a simple, like low investment date, maybe you guys go out to the bar to get drinks or to get just some appetizers or go get ice cream and walk around the park or whatever. And then the next date, you're already planning the next date, the second date, to be like the movie night date where you go to her spot. That's what I've typically seen that has worked the best for me. So just keep all this in mind, man. Like this is gonna help you when there's already a form of connection. You guys have already built some rapport. Obviously, she's feeling you. She knows how you are in person. She's able to see every aspect of you in person, how you carry yourself, how you interact with her. And then for the second date, you can then plan to do a movie night at their spot. So with that being said, I'll break down a little bit deeper into how did I make this stuff happen? Like, how did I make it to where I was able to transition back to the woman's spot? So one of the things that you can do this for a first date, but again, like I just told you, I've typically went to women's houses and stuff like that in apartments as a second date after we already had the first date and we're just filling each other out, building that connection, building that rapport. But if you're trying to make something happen possibly the first night, and typically, if you do this, I would do this with a woman that already has high interest and attraction for you because the likelihood of you being able to go back to her spot, assuming like that first date is good, is gonna be a lot higher. But just simply schedule the date around where she's at. If I'm meeting girls from dating apps or social media, and let's say we're on a FaceTime call before the actual date, which I find is very powerful to nurture women by doing that, because especially if you're meeting women through dating apps, like they'll say things like, oh, like this is actually a great idea. Had I done a FaceTime call with guys I've gone on dates with in the past, I could have saved myself so much time from bad dates. So they're actually gonna appreciate that. But women that like I would FaceTime and stuff like that, when we're talking, I ask them like, yeah, like what part of town are you in? And then they would tell me, and then I'm already like planning on going to a date spot that's near where they're at. I'm gonna try to figure out, okay, like what date spot can I go to that's near them? Because if I can go to a date spot that's closer to where she's at, it will make going back to her spot a lot more logical. And basically what you could do, man, is let's say things are going well, let's say everything is cool, like you guys are having a great time on the date and things are starting to close down, assuming that she's good for time. That's the thing, I noticed that women that are good to hang out with you as long as possible and they don't have anywhere to be, maybe they don't have work the next day, if you see that women aren't trying to leave early, like they're having a good time with you and they're on the date with you for a long time, that's how you know that they're really feeling you. But let's say if places are starting to close down or just places are starting to get like really rowdy, you can maybe just be like, I know things are closing down, or I know it's starting to get rowdy in here. I know you say you don't live too far. If you want, I've been enjoying our time together. If you want, like, be okay with going back to your place and we can just continue talking if you're okay with that, if you're open to that. Almost like you're kind of implying without really saying it, like you're okay, you're comfortable with going to her house, almost as if like you're qualifying her, as if she just asked you like, hey, do you want to come back to my spot? But she didn't, but you're kind of saying it as if she did. Does that make sense? But you can just formulate it like, I'd be comfortable coming back to your place. That way we can at least continue to have our good conversation, because it's kind of hard to hear you, or I know places are closing down, but I know we've both been having a great time. If you want, I don't have a problem going back to your house. That's just how I would phrase it. Another thing you could do is, let's say on that first date, let's say like you were talking about a TV show or a movie that you've been hearing a lot of people talk about on Netflix that you were told you should try out. Let's say you did that on the first date. You can bring that up as a reason to maybe go back to her place, especially again, if places are just getting too rowdy, things are starting to close down. You can ask her like, hey, what you got going on after this? Oh, nothing. I was just gonna chill and probably just get in my comfy clothes and just wind down for the rest of the night. Then you can be like, would you wanna watch that movie, or would you wanna watch a couple of episodes of that TV show? I've been enjoying our time together, but I know places are closing down. I know it's getting a little bit too rowdy. It's kind of hard to hear each other. And then see what she says. She's like, yeah, I'd be down. Like, cool. I know you don't live too far from here, right? Yeah, I don't. Okay, if you want, I'm comfortable with coming over if you're cool with it. Yeah, come over. Yeah, feel free to. Let's do it. It could be as simple as that. If the woman's into you, if she's feeling you, if she's comfortable with you, she'll let you do it, right? She'll let you come over. Now, there are going to be times where maybe women may not do it just because like they're still trying to get a little bit more comfortable with you, or maybe like their house isn't clean enough, or it's not set up in a way where like they want you to come over, not because they don't want to be in a one-to-one intimate setting with you, but just because it's not clean and they don't want you to look down on them for that. So women may tell you no because of a reason like that. But typically if the vibe is there and women are feeling you and you come up with a logical reason to go back to her place, or even just, hey, listen, like I've been having a good time. I don't want to abruptly end the date, but I know it's getting a little bit too rowdy here. I know places are starting to close down. You don't live too far from here, right? No, I don't. Okay, I've been enjoying our time. I would like to continue having our conversation. If you want, like, I don't have a problem with going back to your place if you're good with it. It could be as simple as that. Try to find a logical reason, contextual, logical reason, whether you use what's going on around you, places are closing down, it's getting too rowdy, it's hard to hear, or you guys were talking about that movie or TV show that you guys wanted to watch, or that you guys would both be interested in watching. Whatever you can do, whatever type of contextual thing that you can leverage when you're asking them, basically, would you want to go back to your place? Whatever that is that you can use that makes sense to use it based on what you guys have talked about, based on what's going on in the environment around you, leverage that. That way it comes off more smooth, more logical, and you not just trying to get into their pants basically. But if a woman's like really having a good time with you on the date, like she's laughing, she's like smiling, showcasing positive body language, she's asking questions about you, even if you guys go to multiple date spots and she's willing to follow your lead, she doesn't have any place to be, she's not in a rush or anything like that, especially if you see a girl checking you out, maybe she's complimenting you from time to time, subtly touching you, all these different indicators of interest that she's attracted to you, and then you do what I said, bro, women are going to be a lot more likely to go back to their place with you. But again, a lot of times when I went back to their place for the second or third date, it was already pre-planned. But again, there was a nurturing process beforehand. There was comfortability there. There was some form of connection. We either already talked on FaceTime, or typically we went on a date together. There was investment being built. So they were a lot more comfortable and felt a lot safer with me coming over, especially the higher interest and attraction that they had for me, the more likely they were going to be cool with me coming over to their spot. Now, when my living situation came up, how did I introduce this? How did I package it up? How did I kind of let them know what was going on with my situation? Because women would be like, oh, do you live around here? Or like, where do you live? And I'll tell them like, right now, I'm in this area of town. I'm actually in between leases at the moment, so I'm just renting from my parents until my next floor plan is available. That's what I'll tell them. I'll say I'm in between leases at the moment, which implies like you had an apartment before, which that was the case for me. I had an apartment before, but then I moved back in with my parents and was saving money up so then I can move out and get a nicer spot after. So I would say I'm in between leases at the moment. I'm renting from my parents. So renting insinuates that you're paying them. So that means you have money. If you have money, that means you have some source of income. So you're paying your parents. You're not just freeloading, you're not being lazy, but you're renting from your parents, even if you're not. But I just said I'm renting from my parents at the moment until my next floor plan is available, or until the floor plan I'm on a waiting list for is available, which means, okay, he has intent, he's looking for an apartment, like he has a mission, he's not just trying to stay at his parents' house forever, like he has things in motion. That's how you set things up. You see what all like me saying those specific words insinuates to women? So then when you package it up like that, okay, like yeah, he's just in between leases, like he has things figured out. He doesn't come off like he's lazy or unambitious or lacks drive, because I mean, he's in shape, he looks good, he's well dressed, he knows how to talk, he knows how to present himself. He told me that he has this business that he's working on, and he shared a lot of insightful things with me, but he's also doing Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, and he can speak Spanish. Like he's a very ambitious and driven guy. I don't really know many men like him. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like I said, the more holistically attractive you are, the more women will overlook this, especially when you're dealing with high interest and high attraction women. Now, with that being said, just deliver it with more confidence. Don't feel ashamed of it. Don't feel like you're less than a man for this. You know what I mean? Just own it. But let them know what's up. Or maybe you're actually saving up for a house. That could be your case. Let them know you're just saving up for a house at the moment and you're renting from your parents, right? At least say you're renting from your parents so it doesn't seem like you're freeloading off of them. At least shows like, okay, he's paying money, which means he's getting money, which means he's working a job or has a side hustle or a business that's paying him money. Like all these different things will imply to her like, okay, you have things in motion. You're not just lazy sitting around on your ass, which you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be, bro. You can still date women while still living at home. It will make logistics a little bit harder, but it's not a death sentence. Now, let's say like the girl that you're talking to to that you've been on dates with, let's say that she lives at home with her parents too, then what you could do is, if she's really feeling you, and let's say like, this is gonna depend on like the scenario. If you guys like are having a great time on the first date and like you can really tell that she's into you, she's been flirting with you, complimenting you, giving you subtle touches and stuff like that, she's really into you and she's giving you obvious signs, you can then propose like you guys go to a hotel. Hey, listen, like I've been enjoying our time together. And let's say, assuming like you told her like your living situation, given my living situation, and be harder to continue this conversation at my parents' house. But if you're comfortable, because I've been enjoying our conversation and I don't want it to stop, if you want, we can go to this hotel. I don't mind covering it, or if you feel comfortable going half on it, we can do that. And that way, at least we have a more private setting where we can just continue to have our conversation and enjoy our night. How do you feel about that? Are you open to that? Kind of see how she feels about it and be like, and listen, we don't have to do nothing. Like that doesn't mean we have to do anything. Like I've been enjoying our conversation. I've been enjoying our time together, and I want to keep it going if you're willing to. Like you're gonna have women that if they're feeling you and they're having a good time, they'd be down for that. So that's something that you could do either on the first date, or if you guys do plan on, let's say, watching a movie or watching a TV show or doing some type of activity, whether it's board games, something that involves you being inside. And let's say you guys already had the first date or maybe even the second date, you guys have connection being built, rapport being built, you guys have mutual attraction and interest in one another, then maybe you can suggest going half on a hotel and then doing whatever that indoor activity is in that hotel. Another thing that I've done, again, I've done this with all high interest and attraction women, by the way. One thing you could also do is, because you want to be careful with what I'm about to tell you, you can always make it seem like, let's say after the first or second date, you can hit up the girl like, hey, I know this is random, but I'm thinking about just doing like a one-day getaway trip. I'm thinking about going to this hotel just to get away, just kind of reward myself for how things have been going in my job or my side hustle or my business, whatever. Feeling a little bit spontaneous and adventurous, and I'm thinking about booking a hotel. I know we talked about doing XYZ thing. I know we talked about watching this movie or watching this TV show or doing this activity. If you care to be a little bit spontaneous and adventurous and would like to join me, you're more than welcome to. No pressure, but I just figure I ask, since we talked about watching this movie or watching this show or doing this activity, and then see what she says. If she's like, yeah, I'd be down, I would love to do that, I can even go half with you, boom, there you go. And you only want to do this with high interest women because you don't want to go out of your way to buy a hotel just for her to ghost on you and flake on you last minute, because that would suck. Granted, you can always get a refund, but still, like, that would suck, or a partial refund, but still, that's not ideal. But I would go about it like that way, where you're already planning on doing that, you already had the intent of doing that just as like a getaway trip, but you just wanted to extend the invitation to her and see if she would like to join you or not. Either way, you're still gonna go, or at least you're implying that you're still gonna go, but at least you're giving her the opportunity to join you if she wants to. These are pretty much the things that I've done, man, to still date women even while living at home. Again, it's not a death sentence. It's not gonna cause a lot of issues for you primarily. Is it gonna be issues with some women? Yeah, but it's gonna be a lot less women than you actually think, and women are a lot more understandable than you probably think too. So keep all this in mind, man. Like, it's not a death sentence. You can still attract women and date women while still living at home. You just have to make sure that you are that holistic, attractive man. You're dealing with high interest and high attraction women. Have a nurturing process there where, like, you actually have spent time with her. You guys have had a conversation. You guys have gone on a date. And then you have to just be a little bit more strategic and more forward thinking based on the things that I told you that I've done as far as like my strategies and tactics to go back to a woman's place or get a hotel or however I went about that. But hopefully you got a lot of value from this, man. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If you want to learn more about how you can actually attract women to you, become that holistic, attractive man that I talked about, and still be able to date women while living at home, I have a free training that breaks this down more in depth, step by step. Like I shown that free training how I've helped guys that lived at home, that weren't making that much money, that didn't have any like status or anything like that. And these guys weren't even male models or anything like that either. And they were still attracting women to them, still being able to date women while living at home because of the system that they implemented from what I teach. That has actually helped me, and not only in my life when it comes to attracting women and when I was living with parents, still able to attract and date women while living at home. But this same system is a system that men can copy and paste in their own dating life and be able to still attract women and date women while they're still living at home and transitioning out of their parents' house. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, definitely check out that free training link down below in the description and the pinned comment. With that being said, I hope you got a lot of value from this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe for more videos like this, man. And with that being said, I'll talk to you in the next video.